Ron Paul on the Leno show, and Leno asked him about running as a third party. Now, if Ron Paul joined Gary Johnson in the Libertarian Party, and the two of them ran for president and vice president, Ron Paul as vice president, we could have an answer, and you would have a team that could win. You have a team that could win. And Ron Paul on Jalen dashed the hopes of all of you people that are backed him, all of you people that are sending millions of dollars. And his son-in-law, Jesse Benton, has been making $500,000 a year off of your campaign donations. He did take your money. He did promote all the other candidates that might be somewhat conservative. All of them are Republicans. And the Republican Party is one wing of the same bird, and the Democrat Party is the second wing of that. And Ron Paul dashed any hopes of joining Gary Johnson. Nah, we couldn't do this. I couldn't have done what I'd done if I hadn't been on the Republican Party, and he's probably correct on that. So again, this is one of the people that is just not giving you complete information, is taking your money. And what are the Republican parties and the Democratic parties? They've raised almost $500 million. They've raised almost $500 million. And they've given the money to your media companies. What are your media companies? Oh, let's see, Clear Channel, controlled by Bain Capital, controlled by Mitt Romney. And you're being sold a bill of goods on TV. Well, we got to get rid of Obama. Whoa, we got to. Oh, look, here's this movie, 2016. This is what America's going to look like. Well, it's going to look the same if you go in and elect Romney. Gary Johnson is the only hope you've got, and he probably doesn't have a chance in hell because the media is not going to promote him or tell you about it. That's right. David says, Ron Paul is still so positive considering the election, the proposed results in our future. He did not endorse Mitt Romney, but he may as well have. May as well have. Now, you're not going to elect. They've armed themselves with millions of bullets. Do you want to fight? I don't want to fight. I want to work with some people. I'm looking for people to work with right now. Stop that, boy. We are looking for people to work with. We're looking for answers to this. You know, what if we have an EMP? What if we lose all of our... Oh, thank you. What if we lose all of our... This is Brad Kittel. He is the owner and the visionary that created Tiny Texas Houses and Pure Salvage Living. Welcome, Brad.
Hey, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Now, I've just been talking about the EMPs, and you're the one that turned me onto that, on the solar. We're also headed into this rift that's in the Milky Way. We go through, what, every 25,000 years?
26,740.
We're facing all that. We know, I just shared a story that the government has bought all these rounds of 40 caliber ammunition for domestic agencies. Why are they doing that? They know something's happening. And the congressman also talked about the EMP. One EMP blast from a nuke in the middle of the country could wipe out all of our communication. They say millions of people would die. We'd wipe out all of our communications, all of our cell phones. Nothing would work anymore. Now, when I look out here at these houses, and I go back there and I see these houses that you have designed and people are building here, and you came up, you know, I'm not a mechanic. I'm not a mechanic, so I want a mechanic next door to me. You know, I want a farmer next door to me. I want somebody that can show me how to garden properly, how to grow good food that's good for us. You know, as far as as opposed to the genetically modified ground. And what you proposed with the tiny Texas villages or the tiny Texas territories seems to be a logical answer to any of these dangers that we can't control, that we can't influence, and we can't stop. Nothing we're going to say is going to affect the banks. But if we have our homes protected and built properly, so our homes aren't poisoning us too. I mean, isn't that what's happening right now? Is that we've got more people from this kind of radiation, from the cells, and not to mention the chemical. We've got all of this negative energy being poured on us. And if we create a area where people can live together, protect each other, and work together, we've got an excellent shot of surviving anything.
Well, the big issues right now, obviously, for those who are paying attention to it, the global warming is not a consequence of man, but a consequence of natural causes. And as we head into this phase of extreme solar activity and solar flares, we do know that the sun can not only make the effect of a single nuclear bomb, but it can make the effect of 100 hydrogen bombs or 1,000,000 hydrogen bombs without effort. It has that kind of power. And so when we got blasted in the middle of the summer with one of the solar flares that was extremely powerful, it was only a 1.1, an X 1.1, and on a scale of X is the highest scale you can get to. A 1.1 is the lowest level of that high scale, and one blast at us in that month basically melted off the ice off Greenland and changed the landscape of the Earth in a week. A week's time afterwards, we literally went from 11 to 27% drought conditions in the United States, extreme drought. But the amount of heat that's coming in right now through our atmosphere from the sun exceeds what man is producing by such extremes that it's really irrelevant. The sad part is man is not so much the heat he's producing, but he's also destroying all the trees and taking down the last of the resources, mining and creating all sorts of toxins and destroying the water. Well, the two most important things, obviously we have to have water and we have to have food. As the temperatures rise because of the sun going crazy and because of the amount of heat that's coming into our atmosphere from the sun, the crops are being affected. There's absolutely, unquestionable, it's even coming out in the news now, that the food prices are going to be going up, and they're going to be escalating a lot more than people even imagine at this point. It's ridiculous to continue to take corn and shove it into our gas tanks. We need food right now so bad that we need to revamp our entire perspective on energy when it comes down to using food to fuel cars and to make energy with. Food is going to become too valuable in the next even couple months as these temperatures exhaust our ability to grow in the fashion that we're accustomed to. If people want to go ahead and study this, they really need to be paying attention. That politics are certainly something we should all pay attention to, and there's certain things we can do something about. We can do something about living in small groups, simplifying our lives, and reducing our dependency on electricity. There is no bad side to that. Ultimately, it lowers your bills. It helps save the world. But the idea, too, is to build houses that will draw air and cool themselves, so you don't have to have electricity to live in your house. You can stay in it. And likewise, the ability to simplify means that you're also not going to have to contend with losing everything because of finances and stuff like that. If things don't go as bad as they potentially could, then the whole world's going to change. And if it doesn't go bad, and that's absolutely the least possible situation, then people are no worse off for having simplified their lives and being able to spend time with their children and their loved ones and focusing on love, relationships, and what we can do for each other rather than how much money we can make, how much we can accumulate, and how far ahead we can get of the other guy showing him up. Our society, for the most part, is not prepared for losing electricity. It'll be crippling. And the issue of are we or aren't we going to lose it, frankly, there's not even a question as to whether some of us will. If you want to go to the National Academy of Sciences, NASA, any of the science-based resources we have to get this information from. Not crazy people, not wackos, but science-based resources. Then simply go to, a really good example is solarstormwarning.com. The idea behind putting the information out there for the public is if they want, they can actually see it and study it and learn about it.
It's linked at the top of the Free American site, and right below that is a wonderful picture of one of your tiny Texas houses. Now, you get a lot of people stopping by here, and I've gotten a chance to talk to a lot of them and walk around with them, and it's been 100 degrees here almost every day. And the one comment that people consistently make, oh, it's so nice in here. It's so nice in here. No electricity, no nothing, just a window that you can open with 2 fingers. And the way and you did this perfectly, intentionally. You built all of these with lofts. Now, the loft is rated as a storage area, so it's not taxed. The porches that you've added down here fold down, cover up the windows for shipping or storms, and people are moving these all over the country. Now, there are a lot of people are doing them individually, but the advantages of living in proximity to each other, and you've got the land for this. You've got the structures here that are drawing people in here every day. How do we implement this? This is a change in consciousness, really. It's a change in consciousness of how we're going to live here, how we're going to live, and maybe the only thing Hillary Clinton ever said that I agree with is it takes a village to raise a child. I'd like to see children running around a village.
Well, I think that we're at the brink of transformation in our society, regardless of what happens. There are a lot of people who are dissatisfied with the quality of life and the stresses of modern society, not to mention all the issues with the toxins and the problems. And a lot of people are actually interested in becoming more aware of taking care of the planet and in so much as trying to just preserve what we have. And I think that awareness is global. I think we're seeing a global awakening, a global consciousness arising. And I'm hoping and praying that we can create some sort of a world union of believers in the survival of the species, and the survival of the planet as our #1 priority, and put our peaceful coexistence as the #1 thing we have to have, and then using technology which we already have this technology available, to provide clean water for everybody, to provide a healthy existence for everybody, to provide inexpensive power, which we have that ability, and to focus instead on preserving instead of just raping and pillaging the planet, which is what we're pretty much doing, especially American, because we exploit, or the end exploiters, you might say, of most of the resources on the planet. As a consequence, we're the ones that inspire other countries to go out and pillage their resources so they can send them to us. In many cases, we don't just inspire it, we actually take over or affect the governments such that we can make the decisions that the big corporations are able to go ahead and buy those resources dirt cheap.
This isn't anything that's happening new. Smedley Butler told us almost 100 years ago, that we're I make Al Capone look like a piker. You know, he operated in Chicago, I operated on 3 continents.
Right, and that's effectively what's happened. Unfortunately, at this stage of our America's development, we have wars going on in 4 or 5 different countries. Many of them people don't even know we're involved in. Yemen, and they were trying to start more wars. The reason for most wars is supposed to be resources ultimately, because it certainly isn't to stop the boogeyman terrorists, because there's never any way you're actually going to pin down and kill off terrorists like that. So that's pretty much it's an excuse. The issue we've got is that our military is being used to basically take over countries' resources, or an attempt to do so. Actually a failed attempt in my opinion. And we should learn the lesson from that and pull our horns in and bring our troops back and focus on fixing our country. If we want to spend a few billion, let's go out and fix our bridges, fix our roads, fix our schools. We can do that just with the bombs we dropped on Libya. Most people don't understand that we paid for every single bomb that dropped on Libya.
And that they're dropping on Syria right now. We've had
Syria,
some of our soldiers just picked up in Syria. Snipers picked up in Syria and taking an active part in their revolution.
We also have had people active bombing going on in Yemen and other places. So there's a lot of negative in the world, and what we're trying to do is effectively produce a few positive spots of light, hope, and that is that people will simplify, people will pull out, drop out, and not participate in supporting a government that does this sort of stuff by contributing to taxes. So if we work less, we make less money, and we live a simpler life, therefore we contribute less to the war, we contribute less to all these issues. We barter and focus more on building a country where children learn life skills, where children see their parents. Novel concept. Instead of the both parents working to have all the goodies and not see their children, let the school raise their children, let the daycare centers raise their children. What we're offering is a different perspective. Let's create a tiny village where the village raises your children. When you're busy, they take care of it. The elders of the village, the ones that are in their 70s and 60s and even 80s, where the wisdom lies, we want them to join in again. Instead of pushing them back and saying, we don't need all that, we've got new technology, we want to go back and say, hey guys, we'd like to know how you did it. How did you make it with Monsanto and DuPont producing all those chemicals for fertilizers and for stuff? And how did you make it without GMO crops? And gee, could you show us how was it you guys managed to raise a family where everybody's so loving and they came back for all those reunions and stuff? When our generation, we raised a family that abandons the house and rarely goes home.
They're gone.
They're gone. And we've really kind of, in my opinion, messed things up pretty bad. And I think it's time to go back to our elders, to our parents, and our parents' parents, and say, hey, let's go back and look at this again. So my villages are basically a statement to that simplicity, to that time. It's a renaissance I'm trying to create, whereby people will look backwards and say, let's take the best of the past and bring it back to the present and make it part of our world again. And part of that was the simplicity of tiny villages where each, in my case, what I see it as, is each acre can hold 15 houses, little tiny houses, so that you're actually taking up less than a 10,000 square foot footprint for all the houses on that acre. That still leaves 35,000 square foot available for green spaces, gardening, and other stuff. Each of these little villages has its own autonomous government, where you make decisions if somebody violates your rules. You decide.
Yeah, that's the oldest form of government. 10 families formed a ton.
That's right.
In the old days.
And you had the Indians, the Native Americans did the same thing. As the tribe got too big, you started to have squabbling amongst them. So you branched off and formed another branch of your tribe, another village.
Take your TP over there, move it over there.
That's right.
Leave me alone.
But effectively, that's what it amounts to. If you get too many chiefs, you're going to have a problem. So you basically go ahead and extend the tribe and create another village. And then they share that set of beliefs and that rule system. And as long as somebody violates a problem in their tribe or in their group, they judge them and punish them. But if they come over and they commit a crime in our village, well then that person's underneath our jurisdiction. And we share with the elders of that village and reach a conclusion on what the punishment will be for that person in our village. Now if that person does something that hurts the whole town, all the little villages that come together to make a town, then the town decides. And if that person needs to be exiled, they're sent away because they no longer fit in. That's the beauty of portable houses. You literally just pick the house up, put it on a trailer, and ship them on down the road. See you later. You know, maybe you're going back to the AA group. You know, the Alcoholics Anonymous has that acre in the back, and they'll help you out. Or you might just want to switch lives. You might want to say, hey, I'm not going to be a bridge player anymore. I'm going to be a quilter, and I'm going to go live in the quilting village. Or I want to be a fisherman now instead of being a poker player. I've been living in the poker village for years, you know, and won all their money. It's time to leave. But the idea being is that a portable house gives you the ability to have your home with you for the rest of your life. And this is especially important when couples get older, because the men die off first. Women already know this. And since they outlive us, they may not want to live in the fisherman's village anymore where they went and conceded to live since their husband was a major fisherman. It's time for them to have their own village, their own place to live. So they'll pack up their house and move over maybe to live with granddaughter and be able to see great-granddaughters. But they have their house with them. And that's the most traumatic thing a person can go through when they get older, is to leave their home behind. So let's eliminate the problem and simplify it. Let's make the house small, portable, energy efficient. In fact, it's so energy efficient you can get by without electricity if you have to. And non-toxic, and all-American made, and all-American parts, all-American labor. If we do this, this can only be good for America. Simplify, prepare for downsizing, which we all have to be looking at. The country's prime time financially is over. We're now going into a period of 76 million people retiring and 20 to 30 million kids trying to support them all. So our prosperity is past.
When I conceived of my Liberty Village thing, which you have manifested right here, you know, better than I visited. I mean, I looked at Cavco cabins, I looked at teepees, I looked at yurts, things like that. And none of those, I've been inside all those, I've been inside yurts, I've been inside teepees, none of those, and I've been inside the Cavco factories, none of them had the feeling that I get walking into one of those buildings.
Well, the reason for that is simple. These are organic houses. Organic meaning there's some nails, there's screws, there's insulation. But other than that, it's all wood. Organic. It means it grew. It was living cell tissue. And effectively what that means is that we don't have sheetrock, we don't have metals, we don't have a bunch of crap in there. And because we don't have all that crap, they do feel better. Much better.
Who's calling?
It is a much cleaner environment too.
Somebody for him? Okay. All right.
I'll leave you alone. See you later, Clay.
Okay, sir. Thank you. All right. Now, folks, that's what's happening here, and this is all real. This ain't imagination. You can go out and you can walk in these houses. You can jump in these houses. You can climb the ladders in these houses and feel them. I mean, you know, the one question when I give a tour here, I ask people, so why do you live in a 2,000 square foot? Why do you need a 2,000 square foot house? Do you just like to dust? Do you just like to clean? How much energy does it take you to keep that house in order? It don't take much here. It don't take much with this system. And I really believe that's an answer, and that's what we need to do. Now, right here, we've got 40 acres. Right over there, we got a salvage village. We got a 5,000 square foot office. We got all of that. Misa, she's right. I'm all for the least time spent cleaning. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Now, folks, I can't make you come here. I don't, and I may not want you to be here. I may not want you to live next door to me. But I got 1 acre here that I can choose who lives on it. You can have your own. You know, you want a village for your people? Well, I'll be glad you start. You buy a house. You put your village over there on your 1 acre, and you can put up a fake wailing wall so you can bang your head against it. I don't care. You know, the Constitution protects you. Whatever religion you want to devote your life to and follow, you can do that. You can do that. But these villages, putting them up, living together and working together. Whatever you are, whatever your interests are, you know, if you are protecting your neighbors, you're working for your county, you're working for, and Brad's plans are to have a whole town here. If we get 50 houses on here, we do. Yeah, the animals can all live together. It's time we got to drift ourselves. That's right. I don't want to fight with nobody. And if you try to come in our village to create trouble, you'll just get kicked out. You'll just get kicked out. You know, we want people that are going to be productive. We want people that are going to, that want to build something, that want to build a future. And I found a spot to do it, man. This is hill country. This is the San Marcos spring-fed river here. It flows right down from Aquarina Springs. What used to be Aquarina Springs before BP bought it. Beautiful water. Great catfish. We could actually feed ourselves here. If you get a fishing license, you know. Come on, guys. We could do this. We could make this work. I got phone numbers up. 520-413-2397. Got nothing to give away. Ain't looking for anybody to take under my wing. I'm looking for people that are productive. I'm looking for people that want a home. I'm looking for people that want to invest 40 to 70,000 in a home. Put it wherever you want. Put it wherever you want. You know, and if you want to live with people of a like mind, come right here. We're right outside of Austin. We're right outside of San Antonio. We got people to stop in every day because they've seen the houses here. Now, if we can build enough of these houses and put a vacancy sign on it, we can have people. We'll have people staying in them for $100 a night, and that will pay for the houses. And we can employ people and keep them working. And this is duplicable. You can duplicate this in Detroit. You can duplicate this in New York. You can duplicate this in Seattle. You can duplicate this every 150 miles and start cleaning up our neighborhoods, cleaning up our towns, cleaning up our farms and ranches. You can take a barn down on a ranch and put 5 or 6 tiny Texas houses on that property, on a ranch that was working and could be again. The ranch, keep the ranches working, keep the farms working, keep it in our control. Take the government out of it. Now, you may have heard rumors about somebody trying to pass a law against it. Well, if you've got 50 people in the village and they're all growing food, they ain't going to try to take the village out. It just ain't going to happen. We can't stop this. We can't control our counties. And these ridiculous laws, you know, where you got somebody trying to eliminate the sheriff. Biden's son wanted to eliminate the sheriffs in New Jersey, take away their power. They want to take away the power of the people. If we work together, you want to invest in a house, put it on this property, we'll rent it out for you. We'll work with you. We'll help you bring an income in. You help us bring an income in. You want to be a gardener? Put your house next door to mine, man, and we'll put that garden together. I'll help you pull the weeds, and you can teach me how, and teach our children how to be a good steward of the land. This is the way we can fight evil without becoming evil, folks. I found a spot. I found a way to do this, and we're talking about 20 years of work here. Now, that sounds like a pretty good idea, Clay, but where are we going to find all those antique windows and doors? Well, just so happens, somebody with foresight